In previous lecture of the series Thermodynamics, we have gone through Maxwell's thermodynamical relations. Our concern of today's lecture is to understand the concept of thermodynamic potentials. I hope you all are aware of the term potential used in different branches of physics, as you have definitely studied gravitational potential, electrostatic potential, magnetic potential, and etc. In fact, during the study of such type of potentials, that is gravitational, electrostatic or magnetic potential, you have seen one thing is common. And what is that common thing? Definitely you have observed that the derivative of potentials gives the corresponding fields. Just you can say, whenever we take the derivative or the gradient of a given potential, the result is definitely equal to the corresponding vector field to that potential. For example, we consider either electric field or gravitational field in terms of gravitational potential or electric potential. Definitely you have encountered with the equations like x, y, z components of electric or gravitational field, which is given as x, y, and z components of electric or gravitational field. We write it as Ex equal to, be careful, here I have written Ex for x component of either electric field or gravitational field. This symbol represents both of the field. And you have definitely studied in your lower classes that Ex equal to minus del V del x, or equivalently we can write it as minus del V del x at constant y and z. As we have taken partial differentiation, so it is understood, if we differentiate with respect to x, definitely y and z are constant, so we can mention this symbol y and z or not mention. Similarly, the y component of electric field or gravitational field, denoted by the symbol Ey, is given as minus del V del y, or equivalently, just like above, you can write it as minus del V by del y at constant x and z. And the z component of the electric field is defined as minus del V del Z, and this is equal to, equivalently we may write it as minus del V del Z at constant x and y. In fact, what we see in these equations, the one thing which is remarkable is that the electric field or gravitational field is simply the negative gradient of the corresponding potential. So, and this equation A, if we want to express in vector form, we may write in vector form equation A may be written as E equal to, now vector E, this will represent either gravitational field or electric field, and this is minus del V, negative gradient of potential, or equivalently you write it as minus grad V, As we see, V is here the scalar potential, and this may be either gravitational potential or electric potential or magnetic potential and so on. In a similar manner, we will see in present lecture that the thermodynamic coordinates P, V, T and S. As you know, there are 4 thermodynamic variables or coordinates denoted by the symbol P, V, T and S. As we have expressed the electric field or gravitational field in terms of gravitational potential or electric potential as a negative gradient of the potential. In present lecture, we will see that the 4 thermodynamical variables which are P, V, T and S. 4 thermodynamical variables, that is P, V, T and S. These 4 thermodynamical coordinates or variables, you may call it thermodynamic coordinates. These are thermodynamic coordinates. We will see in this present interaction of ourselves that these thermodynamic coordinates will be found as a partial derivative of the scalar functions like internal energy U, enthalpy H, Helmholtz free energy F and Gibbs potential G. What I have told you, that these P, V, T and S will be defined as the derivative of 4 thermodynamical functions, and those thermodynamical functions are what? P, V, T and S. These are thermodynamical coordinates, and this will be expressed, P, V, T, S will be expressed as partial derivatives of internal energy. In short, I write it IE. This is for internal energy denoted by the symbol U. Enthalpy. These terms or functions will be cleared in the forthcoming lectures. Enthalpy denoted by the symbol H. Helmholtz free energy. Helmholtz free energy denoted by the symbol F or A. It is also denoted by A in some textbook. And the fourth one is the most important variable, that is called Gibbs potential. Gibbs potential, or you may say it Gibbs free energy too, and this is denoted by the symbol G. We will see in this lecture, which will be completed in 2 parts, these thermodynamical coordinates or variables P, V, T and S will be expressed as partial derivatives of these thermodynamic functions or these thermodynamic properties of the system. And this is why these thermodynamic properties are known as thermodynamic potentials. But let us see something before defining the thermodynamic potential and developing its concept. Among these potentials, internal energy is in fact the basic or fundamental thermodynamic potential. You see here that there are 4 thermodynamic potentials. First one is U, second one is H, third is F and fourth is G. Among these 4 thermodynamic potentials, in fact, this U, which is called internal energy of the system, it is in fact the basic or fundamental thermodynamic potential. Why it is called basic? As you know, as you have read in lower classes, fundamental or basic quantities and derived quantities. You know, fundamental quantities are defined in absolute manner, but the derived quantities depend on those fundamental quantities. Just like that, we will see that the thermodynamic potentials H, F and G will be expressed as in terms of U, and this is why U is called either the first thermodynamic potential or it is called the basic or fundamental thermodynamic potential. You may say, what is U? You can say that it is basic or fundamental. Basic or fundamental. Basic or fundamental, or you can say first thermodynamic potential. In fact, the other 3 thermodynamic potentials, that is H, F and G, are obtained simply by the combination of U with the terms like PV and TS. In other words, we can say that the remaining three thermodynamic potentials are simply obtained by combining the products PV and TS. As you know, these products PV and TS have dimensions of energy. PV has dimension of energy. TS has also dimension of energy. And U is simply internal energy. So we can add or subtract these quantities in U, and these combinations in fact resulted in the form of the other thermodynamic potentials, which are Hg and F. In fact, by the combination of U with the products of PV and TS, we will find the other three thermodynamic potentials. And these thermodynamic potentials, the other three thermodynamic potentials are: number one, enthalpy, denoted by the symbol H. As we will see later in this lecture that how H is defined. H is defined as U plus PV. H is defined as U plus PV. You may see here, as I have told you above, that the other thermodynamic potentials are obtained by the combination of the basic thermodynamic potential U with the products like PV or TS or both. Here, when we add PV in U, we get another thermodynamic potential which is called enthalpy. I will explain enthalpy in detail later on. Here we are just focusing how the thermodynamic potentials are obtained by the combination of U, like the combination of U with the products like PV and TS. In fact, these combination results in another thermodynamic potential which is called Helmholtz free energy. Helmholtz free energy. Helmholtz free energy denoted by the symbol F. I will always use symbol F for this, but in so many texts you will find symbol A for this. And here this Helmholtz free energy is defined as a combination of U and TS. You may define F equal to U minus TS. In this manner, the another thermodynamic potential which is called in fact Helmholtz free energy get resulted by the combination of U and TS. The third thermodynamic potential is the most important thermodynamic potential, that is in fact called Gibbs potential, and it is denoted by the symbol G. And G is in fact the combination of U with PV and TS both, as G is defined as U plus PV minus Ts. U plus PV minus Ts. As you have seen above that U plus PV is nothing, it is simply enthalpy H. So we may write it as G equal to H minus Ts. You may define G in this manner. So we have in fact basically four thermodynamic potential. First thermodynamic potential U is the basic or fundamental or first potential, and these are in fact derived thermodynamic potentials which we obtain by the combination of U with the products like PV and Ts. In the first part of my lecture today, I am going to discuss only the first thermodynamic potential or the basic potential, which you call internal energy. I will discuss it. In fact, internal energy as a thermodynamic potential we will discuss first, and after that in continuation I will explain the remaining three potentials in the next interaction. So let us now start in sequence. The first or the basic thermodynamic potential, which you call internal energy. Internal energy, as I have told you, this is in fact our basic thermodynamic potential. Internal energy. We all have studied internal energy in detail while we are studying the first law of thermodynamics. In fact, internal energy is the subject matter of first law of thermodynamics, and we all are aware of first law of thermodynamics, and so internal energy. In fact, why this name internal energy? We can say that when a system apparently shows no mechanical energy, if you observe a system and you feel that the system has no mechanical energy, no energy get appeared, but still the system is capable to do work, it means definitely the system possesses energy, because you know energy is the ability to do work. So apparently the system appears that it has no energy, but we on the other hand we see that the system is capable to do work. It means system has definitely some sort of energy. And what is that energy? In fact, that energy is called internal energy. So this energy does not appear externally, it is an inherent energy, and so the name internal energy. I hope why the name internal energy has been clear to you. And now I am going to develop the idea that internal energy as a thermodynamic potential. We have studied so many properties of internal energy, like it is a state function, it is not a path function, its change is not path dependent, for any cyclic process change in internal energy is zero, and so on and so on. These are its different properties, and which we have studied during the study of first law of thermodynamics. But the concern of our today's lecture regarding internal energy is what? It is as a basic or fundamental thermodynamic potential. We have to discuss internal energy to show that it is a thermodynamic potential of basic importance. And so how we will develop the idea? to develop the idea to understand that internal energy is a thermodynamic potential of basic importance, fundamental importance, or simply it is a basic or fundamental thermodynamic potential. We will have to start with the first two laws of thermodynamics. First law of thermodynamics and second law of thermodynamics. You know, in accordance with first law of thermodynamics, in an infinite reversible process, change in this internal energy is what? That is the mathematical form of first law of thermodynamics. For your convenience, just I write this simple sentence: in an infinite reversible process. Remember, we are considering an infinite very small reversible process. Change in internal energy. Change in internal energy is given by, you know better it, du equal to del q minus del w. What is this? In fact, this is the mathematical form of our first law of thermodynamics. First law of thermodynamics. And you know that we know that del q equal to, what is del q? According to second law of thermodynamics, del q is equal to what? This is simply T ds. This is in fact mathematical form of second law of thermodynamics. Second law of thermodynamics. Here ds is the infinite change in entropy of the system, and at the same time we know this infinite work done, that is del w, is simply equal to p dv. This all we have studied during the study of first law of thermodynamics. Now let us substitute T ds instead of del q and p dv instead of del w in the above equation. So our result will be what? First law of thermodynamics will be now written as du equal to T ds minus P dv. T ds minus P dv. This is in fact the combination of first and second law of thermodynamics. This equation is the combination of the first two laws of thermodynamics. Now let us see this equation and impose some important conditions, like let us take entropy of the system is constant. First of all, we consider a situation when S is equal to, or you may say if S equal to constant. S means in entropy. System's entropy is constant. If S is constant, you know that ds will be what? ds will be simply 0. Constant and differential of constant is 0. So if S is constant, ds is equal to 0. Now let us substitute this value of ds in equation A. That is, when entropy S is constant, in that condition, what will be our equation A? In that condition, our equation A will be, so from A, we will have du is equal to minus P dV. du equal to minus P dV. du equal to minus P dV. Now, if we want to find this P from this equation, then how we will obtain it? You see easily that minus P will be equal to what? This minus P will be equal to del U by del V, but when S is constant, because you know this equation holds only when S will be constant. So minus P equal to this much, or you may impose this minus sign in RHS. So we can write P equal to minus del U del V at constant S. At constant S. P equal to minus del U by del V at constant S. Similarly, if we impose another condition on the same equation, and our on the equation, that is equation A, and the condition is we consider V is constant instead of S. Now we consider that V is constant. If V equal to constant, if V equal to constant, then as V is constant, then what will be dV? Definitely it will be 0. dV is 0. And if dV is 0, then from the same equation A, we will find what we will find? We will find that du will is equal to T ds. du equal to T ds. And this implies what is T? T will be del U by del S, but when? Only when V is constant. So we impose the condition V is constant here. Now we have two equations, that is equation 1 and equation 2. Let us see these two equations defined in 1 and 2. Here we see that P equal to minus del U by del V at constant S, and in equation 2 we see that T equal to T equal to del U by del S at constant V. Thus, we see that just as the derivative of gravitational potential or other potentials gives the corresponding field, the basic coordinates P and T, are given by the derivatives of internal energy. Here you see we have taken the derivative of internal energy U with respect to V in a particular condition when S is constant. And in second equation, we have taken the partial derivative of U with respect to the variable S in a particular condition when V is constant. And as I have told you in this lecture in above introduction, that whenever a potential field is differentiated or derivative of a potential field V is taken, then we get the corresponding vector field. Just like that, here we see that the partial derivative of U gives the thermodynamic coordinates P and T. So what you can say about U? Comparing that fact, we can easily say that the internal energy is a thermodynamic potential. And this is why internal energy is called the first thermodynamic potential. Because its concept has been developed from the basic laws of thermodynamics, that is first and second law of thermodynamics, and so internal energy is called fundamental thermodynamic potential or basic thermodynamic potential or first thermodynamic potential. I hope why internal energy is called a thermodynamic potential or rather than a fundamental thermodynamic potential, definitely now it have been cleared to you. Now I just want to point out an important fact regarding this thermodynamic potential. As you see here, a volume of the system is constant. In that condition, the change in internal energy is simply equal to heat given to the system del Q in accordance with first law. At constant V, that is when dV equal to 0. When dV equal to 0, we have in accordance with first law of thermodynamics, you have seen above, du is equal to T ds minus P dV, T ds minus P dV, but here dV is 0 because we are considering constant volume, and so dV is 0 and this result will be simply T ds. And our second law of thermodynamics states that this TdS is what? This is in fact del Q, that is heat involved in the process. So du is equal to del Q. Now we define the molar specific heat capacity of a system at constant volume. Molar specific heat capacity at constant volume, molar heat capacity at constant volume, denoted by CV. How we define it? We define it as del Q del T at constant V. This is just basic definition of the molar specific heat capacity at constant volume. But here we see that at constant volume, del Q is in fact equal to du. But when V equal to constant, then as you have seen above, del Q is equal to du. So we may define molar specific heat capacity at constant volume CV as CV equal to del U by del T at constant V. I impose this condition in this equation, but there is no need to specify this symbol of constancy V, because del Q is equal to du only when V is constant. So if we do not mention this condition at constant V here, it is understood that volume is constant. So we can impose this condition V constant or may not impose, because you can replace del Q by del U only when V is constant. This is a CV in terms of U. Here one point which is very important and will be used in forthcoming lectures like in phase transition, that the internal energy is an extensive property of our system. A very remarkable fact. U, this thermodynamic potential U, is an extensive property of our system. What do you mean by extensive property? You know, extensive property is nothing, it is simply the mass dependent property. If property, any thermodynamic property of a system depends on the mass of the system, it is called an extensive property. So whenever we consider extensive property, any extensive property, definitely we define a specific value of that property, which is called a specific value of that extensive property. And a specific value means the property defined for unit mass, just like a specific heat, a specific latent heat, just like that. As internal energy of a system depends on mass of the system, so it is defined for unit mass of the system. And when we define U for a unit mass of the system, then that value of U is called its a specific value. A specific value, a specific internal energy is internal energy per unit mass. Per unit mass. And we denote it, and it is given by, we denote the specific value of internal energy by the symbol small u. We have denoted internal energy by capital U, and its specific value is is denoted by small u. And so you may say small u equal to capital U divided by m, where m is mass of the system. We will find this very useful while we will discuss the phase transition. During the discussion of phase transition, we always utilize the specific value of thermodynamic potentials, and so it will be encountered in our discussion in forthcoming lectures. That's all in my first lecture, but as I have told you, the lecture on thermodynamic potential I have divided in two parts. The next part of this lecture will become tomorrow, and I hope when you will come to enjoy the second lecture. Definitely you will be aware of my first lecture, and I have a faith if you go this lecture thoroughly, you will feel very easy in understanding the forthcoming concepts.